Welcome back. So today we are diving into a deeply revered Indian temple where, according to the texts and materials we're analyzing, conventional science just entirely fails. We're going to be unpacking the incredibly ancient, honestly mind-bending mysteries of the Jagannath Temple in Puri, India. And look, whether you are a hardcore skeptic or a firm believer, the historical claims and the physical anomalies documented about this site are absolutely going to captivate you. Right off the bat, our source material hits us with this massive hook. The claim is that at this specific temple, science, geography, physics, and chemistry all just completely fail. I mean, that is a really bold statement, right? Now, in Hindu tradition, there are 4 major pilgrimage sites, and Jagannath Puri is a huge one. But what really sets it apart is the grand mystery right at its core. It's the belief that the actual physical heart of Lord Krishna still beats inside the temple today. So, here is our roadmap for today's explainer. 1. The heart of Lord Krishna. 2. Transferring the divine energy. 3. Mysteries defying modern science. 4. The miraculous temple kitchen. And finally, 5. Rituals and the Ratha Yatra. Let's just dive right into this. Starting with Section 1. The heart of Lord Krishna. Okay, so this story traces all the way back to 3102 BC. A hunter named Zara accidentally shoots an arrow into Lord Krishna's foot, which leads to his mortal death. Zara cremates the body following all the proper rituals, but then he notices something completely bizarre. There's this glowing metal-like object that remains totally unburned in the ashes. He couldn't sell this strange artifact, so Zara sets it adrift in a river on a wooden log. Fast forward all the way to the Gupta Empire. King Indrajumna, who is this massive devotee, has a divine dream telling him to go find this log. He retrieves it, but literally no famous sculptor can carve the thing. Finally, this mysterious carpenter shows up, promising to carve the idols, but he has one strict condition. He needs 21 days of absolute, total isolation. Well, the queen, hearing the carving sounds stop, gets super impatient and forces the door open before those 21 days are actually up. And the carpenter? He just instantly vanishes. And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates why the temple's central deities look exactly the way they do today. Behind that forcefully open door, they found 3 beautifully carved but very obviously incomplete wooden idols: Lord Jagannath, his brother Balabhadra, and his sister Subhadra. According to the texts, that mysterious, unburnt metal heart, the literal heart of Krishna, was placed right inside the incomplete idol of Lord Jagannath, where it supposedly remains to this very day. Moving on to Section 2, transferring the divine energy. Now you might be wondering, usually ancient temple idols are made out of stone or metal, right? Well, it's claimed that this heart is actually evidence of an advanced ancient technology that is constantly transmitting massive amounts of energy. And as we all know from basic science, stones and metals are really good conductors. If the idol were made of metal, it would actually be super dangerous to even approach it. But wood? Wood is a bad conductor. It acts as an insulator, kind of bottling up and containing this incredibly intense energy. But because the energy is just so powerful, the wood supposedly degrades slowly over time. Because that wooden casing naturally deteriorates, the idols actually have to be entirely replaced every 12 years in this highly secretive, intense ritual called Navakalabara. The entire city of Puri undergoes a total electrical blackout. The head priest has to put on a tight blindfold and extremely thick gloves. Then, in 100% pitch darkness, he reaches into the old wooden idol, pulls out the object, which is known as the Brahmapadarth, and carefully places it into the newly carved idol. The texts state that if anyone were to actually look at this object with their bare eyes, they would die instantly. Now, what's really fascinating about this to me is the specific visceral detail we get from the priests who've actually performed this transfer. Despite wearing heavy gloves and working in complete darkness, they report that holding the Brahmapadarth doesn't feel like holding a piece of cold metal or rock. They describe the sensation as feeling exactly like holding a living, breathing, twitching rabbit. I mean, wow, it's a detail that adds a remarkably eerie and compelling layer to this whole legend. That brings us to Section 3, Mysteries Defying Modern Science. Here is one of the most famous geographical mysteries of Puri. Basic science tells us that if the wind is blowing east, a flag is going to flutter towards the east, right? It's just simple aerodynamics. Yet the source texts and countless local accounts insist that the flag at the very top of the Jagannath Temple consistently flies in the exact opposite direction of the wind. How or why this happens remains a completely unexplained anomaly. And speaking of that flag, it comes with some incredibly high-stakes traditions. Every single day, rain or shine, a priest must free climb the 214-foot temple dome that's roughly a 20-story building just to swap out the flag. The rule here is absolute. If this daily ritual is missed for even a single day, the temple must be completely shut down for 18 years. And while we're talking about that towering 214-foot dome, there's another unbelievable architectural feat reported. It casts absolutely no shadow. Not in the morning, not at high noon, not in the evening. At any time of day, there is zero shadow visible from the main dome. Just think about how impossible that sounds. It leaves modern science completely baffled. So the crucial takeaway here is that it's not just physics acting weird, it's nature itself. The airspace above the temple is a strict no-fly zone for airplanes and drones, which, makes sense for high-security areas. But strangely, birds never fly over the temple, nor do they ever rest on its massive domes. The texts literally question how speechless birds inherently know to avoid the specific airspace. Add to this the Sudarshan chakra, which is this massive metal wheel at the very top of the temple. Due to some brilliant, totally unexplained architectural illusion, no matter where you stand in the city to look up at it, the wheel always appears to be facing you directly. Let's look at Section 4, the miraculous temple kitchen. Every single day, the temple prepares prasad, or blessed food, for its visitors. The baseline expectation is to feed around 500 people. However, on any given day, the crowd can unexpectedly swell into the thousands. Yet, remarkably, the sources state that the temple has never once run out of food for the devotees. And on the flip side, at the end of the day, not a single grain of food is ever wasted. But honestly, the sheer volume of food isn't even the craziest mystery here. The real head-scratcher is the cooking method itself. The kitchen uses a traditional wood fire. To cook the food, they stack 7 clay pots vertically, literally one directly on top of the other, over this single flame. Now, logic and basic thermodynamics tell us that the pot closest to the fire, the bottom one, has to cook first. But here, the exact opposite happens. Miraculously, the food in the topmost pot is the first to finish. Then the cooking progresses downward. The bottom pot, the one that is literally sitting on the fire, cooks absolutely last. It completely upends everything we know about how heat transfer works. Finally, Section 5, Rituals and the Ratha Yatra. The Jagannath Temple maintains some incredibly strict ancient entry laws. Only practicing Hindus are permitted inside the actual temple gates. And there are quite a few historical examples showing just how strictly this is enforced. Former Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was famously denied entry simply because her husband's surname was of Parsi origin, meaning she had to offer her prayers from the outside. In 2005, the Thai princess Maha Chakri Surindorn was also restricted from entering. Even a Swiss woman who donated a staggering 1.78 crore rupees to the temple was not allowed inside. She had to conduct her viewing, or darshan, from the exterior. The temple absolutely does not bend these rules, no matter your wealth, your royal status, or your political power. There are also very strict timelines governing the deities themselves. By tradition, for exactly 15 days every single year, the Lord falls physically sick. During this 2-week recovery period, the temple doors are completely shut tight, and public viewing is entirely suspended while the deities rest and heal. But all of this exclusivity and isolation is eventually balanced out by one of the largest human gatherings on planet Earth, the Ratha Yatra. Once a year, during this massive 9-day chariot festival, the deities are actually removed from their dark, highly restricted inner sanctum. They're placed on these colossal wooden chariots and pulled right through the streets. The sheer scale of this event is just breathtaking. Millions upon millions of devotees gather to pull the ropes and witness it. The core belief here is that during these 9 days, the Lord physically leaves the temple to go out among the ordinary people, sharing directly in their joys and sorrows, which ensures that these ancient traditions remain fiercely and vibrantly alive today. So from unburnt beating hearts and flags defying the wind, to cooking pots that completely ignore the laws of thermodynamics, and ancient traditions that actively govern millions of lives, it all leads us to one very direct, provocative question from our sources. After exploring all these unexplained phenomena and enduring legends, do you think God really exists? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you next time.